Doctor.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine. Okay, what is your name?
Kwanza kabla sijaendelea nashukuru kwamba umenipa cheo cha doctor. Mimi sio daktari, mimi ni physiotherapist. Ambapo kwa Kiswahili tunajulikana kama physiotherapia. Kwa hiyo ningependa niende na jina la physiotherapia.
Okay.
Naam.
Tunapiga English. Tunaenda English. Okay. What is your name, by the way?
My name is Gilbert Elias Kigadi.
Gilbert Elias Kigadi.
Yes.
Okay. You're dealing with the physiotherapist.
Therapist. Yes.
What does this really function to the players?
Physical therapy is not only to the players. It's a vast profession and it deals with a lot of things. But players, it's just part of it.
Okay. Why football people in Tanzania do not know the value of physiotherapists?
Therapists. I think it's just the background of where we came from. In the beginning, football was just like any other game. You don't need preparation. You don't need like knowing what you should do before you continue with the game. You don't. A lot of things were like being skipped. But these days, football is a profession. So to deal with a profession, you need to involve a lot of professionals. That includes physical therapists. That's why in a modern world or in the developing countries, you do not have a team on a Premier League without a physical therapist. They are what we call first line of intervention. We can tell as we look when the injury happens, we can tell what is wrong with that particular player when the injury has happened. So we can start intervention earlier than any other profession.
Okay.
So, having said that, I wanted to let people know that Tanzanian footballers, they do not know, majority, they do not know the difference between a doctor and a physical therapist. We treat without using medications. Of course, we are allowed to use medication, but of certain modalities. Mostly, we physically treat. That's why we are called physical therapists. We treat physically. Okay. We can use medicine, but that has to be an extraterritorial for your profession.
What do you mean when you say you having a treatment in practically?
Physical without, okay. When we say physical, we mean to use hands, electricity, these other, modalities without medicine. We do it physically. Okay. So because they cannot differentiate between a doctor and a physical therapist, then they call them all doctors. Now, the name that was given to physical therapists was what I call primitive. If not primitive, was now quite an awkward name. Baba Cheza, Mama Cheza. So the seriousness to the meaning of what we do was empty. It's just game, playing, but not treatment. So we would like to emphasize, we are not playing, we are treating. That made it, even to the heads of those who thought they are supposed to have physical therapists in their team, to neglect the presence of physical therapists in the teams. But we are first line treatment order. So if they can take that into consideration, they would also tell players, once you are injured, the first person to consult could be a physical therapist. I say could be because it's the first person you will encounter. Physical therapist will be able to tell you, you go to the doctor, because this is out of my range. But if it is within the range, after the assessment, I will tell you, this is within my scope, I can attend this, you can get better. Most of the injuries that players do get, they are physically treated. Some of them, even if you take medication, you only, because we say, you only treat the sign of pain. You do not treat what causes that particular pain. So for physical therapists, we can intervene and remove that source of the pain. For medicine, you block the alarm, which is pain. You block it. So if I block the alarm, the burglar comes in, well, still, you won't know. But if the alarm is on, and I know burglars come through this door, I have to close the door, not the alarm. So if you use medicine, you block the sign that you're having something wrong on your joint. And that sign is pain. You will play with the pain without knowing you are distracting further whatever has been damaged. So I urge all the team holders, the leaders, the authority of these particular football teams, wherever they are, they should have a physical therapist in a team. Because physical therapists, they are able to tell the source of injury, whether they can treat it conservatively or with medicine or surgically. They can tell. And they are able to sort of branch you. You go there, according to what is supposed to be done. So, to me, this was not clear to footballers. I don't blame them. It's a background of the majority of us, Tanzanians. The name takes them away. We have a name in Swahili, we say we have sort of modified it to physiotherapy. That would do. So if we can explain to them what do physiotherapists do in a team, then they can see us more. They can have us in the majority of their teams. Football, basketball, netball, every kind of games. We have to be there. Suppose you cannot get a doctor, or get a physical therapist immediately. The easier way is to see a doctor. A doctor will see you, will give you the first line of medication, and that's painkiller. The painkiller will reduce your pain. He will tell you the baseline, the first things you do when you have such an injury. And then he will definitely tell you, go and see a physical therapist. Because in the process of healing, you will get healed. But because of pain, you definitely will have reduced range of motion, stiffness in your muscles, joints. You definitely will get that. The medicine that the doctor has given will not remove those. So you need to see a physical therapist. If you need to play longer, have a long session or a long period of playing, whether football or any other game, every time you are injured, make sure you consult a physical therapist.
Okay, you have a lot of players here, huge player from Simbas and Yanga and or other teams. Why are those coming here to follow your service?
I don't know. I seriously don't know, but I can tell you by guessing. See, if you treat people, they get recovered. The word of mouth goes further than the documentation. So it's a word of mouth that goes and reach others. When they are injured, they ask each other, where did you get the treatment? And they will tell them, I saw a physiotherapist, Mr. Soso, and I got better. So the more they come, the more they get better, the more they will be here. And that's why I say it's just a word of mouth.
And what is the most injuries they have? You know, in other way, they coming here for the treatment. Which most injuries?
There are so many, but I would group them. I would say,
yes, okay.
Say we have shoulder injuries, wrists, knee, ankle. You know, these are the muscle ruptures, tear, dislocations. I get all those from different kind of games, basketball, football. But you see, most of the goalkeepers, they would get on the upper, you know, rarely you see a goalkeeper with a knee problem. But you get them also with a knee injury. And majority is because they've been rammed with an incoming footballer and they collide and they ram on their knees. So you get muscle tear or ruptures. That's common to goalkeepers. But to strikers, you know, these other footballers, it's ankle and knee problem. The tackles, you get them.
Okay.
And the thing is, experience of injuries, seeing them in many occasions helps me to denote the problem before I go further. So I can tell even the time frame that this particular player would get better. And I am proud to say, I can even say, well, this will take 3 weeks, this will take 4 weeks, because it's known, it's in the books. So if you treat them properly, you follow the procedures, it will go to the same extent. But there's one problem, that once a player feels like I'm getting better, they go and attempt to play. Before that stage, you have told them, do not play until this particular moment. They would attempt to play because there's no more pain. And the likelihood of that particular injury to reoccur, it's almost 100. So if they attempt, and that particular day they get injured, they won't come back and tell you, I attempted, that's why I'm back to square one. They will definitely tell you, no, I am still not healed. So
okay.
that we should also take into consideration, that it happens. I can tell them 3 weeks, and then it turns out 6 months.
I have got a news here that you have advised the Simba Sports Club management that Aruna Niyonzima is supposed to fly to India. Is that true?
I didn't pinpoint that they should go to India, but I told them the extent of the injury would possibly require extra intervention, further from physical therapy. So that was my... See, everybody loves money, but when you love it too much, you tend to lie. And I thought, well, up to this juncture, I'm done with physical therapy. They would have to do some other intervention to help him than keep taking money for the treatment I give him. So I told him, hey, discuss with your bosses, and definitely here this will require, you know, an extra dimension than physical therapy. So, well, he took my advice, he talked to them, and I think, I hear, he's receiving some good treatments.
Yes. Ngoma have got a long injury. Was he having a treatment with you?
Yeah, he came.
So what is the problem facing Donald Ngoma?
See, Donald Ngoma, his problem, well, it's tough to discuss players' problem on such a baseline, but I would just say he had a knee problem, and initially he was treated somewhere else. They had a different diagnosis than what I have diagnosed, and for that matter, it took longer probably because what they were looking at is not what was his problem. And for me, I've treated him and he has good improvement. The thing is, I would like him not to start immediately because of the time frame. Like I said earlier, recovery period is stated. So even if a patient is having no pain, they will have to wait till that particular time. They say, okay, now we will continue. And normally we have some, rehabilitative exercises that would, take time. Will not take him immediately to the game. So that's what is causing him to take a longer period.
Okay.
The rehabilitation time frame.
Okay, I saw one day here, through my two eyes here. He came from here to...
Who's that?
I saw Emmanuel Okwi one day here. Or that he was in treatment with you?
Yeah, Okwi came for treatment, but I'm a physical therapist. I'm a spokesman of the team. If you want to further information for him, you can contact Simba, that will give you information.
Okay, let's back on my discussion here. What is the best and the worst aspect about being a physio? Yes, the name is so difficult. Yes.
Okay.
What is the worst and the...
What's the worst of being a physiotherapist?
Yes.
The worst, I would say, the worst I've never... Or I wouldn't like even to be told or to be hearing, is to be called Baba Chesa. I hate that, and I think we should reach a point where professionally we respect each other, so we kind of scratch off that particular name. I understand my daughter one day was asked, what's your profession of your father? And he says, I hear they say Baba Chesa, so he possibly anacheza na watoto, he plays with kids. And I was like, what? He says, yeah, that's what I told them. You play with kids. I said, okay, fine. It's because you don't understand. I'll explain to you, and then probably also get a different name. So that the worst you can ever feel, the worst feeling is to be called a Baba Chesa. Otherwise, being underrated via that particular name is also a worst experience. But these days, the doctors, the medical people who are coming up, and the old ones who went via, the modern science, they respect physical therapy. We appreciate that, and we would like more people to kind of respect the profession. Okay.
Third, how important is fitness in football when you compare to the other game that you have been working?
Well, if you're not fit, you end up with injuries. That's the most common, injuries. Then the next is your performance is poor. Fitness improves your performance. But if you're not fit, you end up with injuries. Because not every injury is inflicted injury. They are what we call self-injuries. You can injure yourself. Like you saw Neymar last time, not that he wasn't fit, but he was, a bit out of his concentration because they stumbled and and he was already out of the concentration. He landed and the knee twisted. So that's self-inflicted injury. So fitness, you need to be fit.
Okay. How much does a physio influence career of a player, and do you think their role in underrated?
Sorry, can you come again?
How much does a physio influence the career of a player, and do you think their role in underrated?